Hello and welcome to another episode of the GSI podcast. Today, I'm honored to be joined by Dr. Wayne Archibald, Executive Director of GSI, along with Mr. Shawn O'Brien, the CEO and President of the North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners, NABCEP, the gold standard for certification in the solar and energy storage industry globally. NABCEP has played a critical role in shaping quality, safety, and professionalism in the renewable energy workforce, and through our work in the Caribbean, we've seen firsthand how transformative these standards can be. Today's conversation will explore not just certification, but the future of the global clean energy workforce and how regions like the Caribbean can position themselves at the forefront of this transition. So thank you for having this conversation with us today. For persons who may not be au fait with who you are, can you take the floor?
Sure. I'm Shawn O'Brien, President, CEO of NABCEP, which is originally was the North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners. We no longer really go by that name because we're not restricted to North America anymore. We're here today or this week doing our 16th annual conference and just excited to be here. And I've been with NABCEP now for 10 years in November.
Quite a feat.
Yes, it's been a great ride.
Congratulations. And to my left, Mr. Archibald, Dr. Archibald, can you take the floor?
Yes, I'm Wayne Archibald. I'm the founder and executive director of Green Solutions International, SKN Incorporated. We're based in St. Kitts and Nevis, North of Jamaica. And we've been a training provider with NABCEP since 2017. And so we operate all throughout the Caribbean region.
Right. I mean, Shawn, this is the NABCEP Continuing Education conference. How has it been so far?
It's been great. This is our third largest conference we've had over the past 16 years. We had over 900 people register. About 94% of the people showed up, even though we had a blizzard come through on Sunday and Monday. But everyone I speak with, they love it. They're always in the trainings and they just enjoy all the training. They enjoy seeing friends and colleagues that they don't get to see all the time from across the country and internationally. So it's been a great three and a half days.
Right. What would you say is a major takeaway of conferences like these?
For our conference, I think it is the networking, sort of the friendships, the existing friendships that they get to renew, but also the creating new friendships and new just exchange of knowledge. A lot of conferences in this industry is more about talking about policy and think this is all about knowledge exchange. So a lot of the trainings that happen, during the 3.5 days, there's over 80 trainings going on. And it's not just the presenters speaking to the audience. A lot of it is an exchange even between the attendees and the trainer. So there's always that knowledge exchange, even from the subject matter expert to the attendees. So.
And Dr. Archibald, we traveled quite a far way to be here. What are your findings on the conference so far?
Well, one of the main things for me at this conference is, as Shawn said, to kind of network, to form other partnerships, and also to learn. At NABCEP conferences, they typically have the latest technologies.
We've seen that
we can use, things that can be applied in our Caribbean context. And one of the things that I wanted to highlight here in this conversation, and Shawn alluded to it in his introduction, that NABCEP has been traditional in North America. But I think since he's been at the helm, NABCEP has expanded globally, internationally. So that's something we like for Shawn.
Kudos.
It's been, our first office outside of the U.S. was in Amman, Jordan. Mm-hmm. And then we have the presence in the Caribbean, based in St. Kitts 2 years ago next month, yes. Right? April?
Yes.
Yeah. And in 2026, we're going to open one most likely in Mexico, and it'll be NABCEP Latin America. And then after that, probably somewhere for Scandinavia. So maybe working with a university in Sweden. So just to continue to expand it. It's not easy because electrical codes are different in other countries. So that's part of the things we have to work on, and to be able to adjust some of the knowledge and the trainings that happen. But it's doable.
It is.
Yeah.
What is the importance of expansion?
I think with anything expanding, you can expand one or two ways most of the time. You either find a new audience to expand to, or a new product or something. So for us, as a certification board, we expand different types of certifications. Like 2 years ago, we created the energy storage certification. So that was one way of expanding. But the other way is to find a new audience. And we don't pick the countries we go to or the regions. They usually approach us and say, hey, we really need to have a certification in Mexico or a certification in Colombia. And it was just a natural thing when Dr. Archibald and I were working together, and then he started doing a lot more trainings, and it just made sense to have an office that covered the complete Caribbean.
Yes, and one of the things, too, if I may, is the importance of the NABCEP Caribbean program is that it helps to align Caribbean professionals with global standards, right? So that we don't just have people off the street trying to install these very expensive systems on your home that could be a hazard, especially if they don't follow the correct safety guidelines and the codes and so forth. Now, as Shawn mentioned, in some of the islands, we use the National Electric Code, right? And the grid is 60 hertz also. But in other islands, we also have different electric codes that we use. But at least for what we do in our training in the Caribbean, we make sure that we align, we know what the standards are, but then we also train based on the local codes. And that's one of the unique things about the training that we offer and that we bring to the Caribbean.
How do you think that governments can help in this?
That's a difficult question in the United States right now. Government was helping quite a bit, federal, until the newest administration. So it's been difficult, but state governments and jurisdictions within states are starting to pick up the slack and to help recognize that homeowners or a business owner, if they're going to put a system on their business or home, that to protect that asset, it's best to have someone who's certified and knows what they're doing. Because no homeowner wants their house to burn down because of a faulty system, or no business owner wants their factory to burn down because of a faulty system. So there's even cities the city of Austin, Texas, has a program where if the system is either built or commissioned by someone who's NABCEP certified, then the homeowner or the business can get a rebate from the city. So there's actually utilities that have programs like that. States, like in the state of Illinois, has a program like that. Several states do. So that's how, to make up for what's been lost over the last year at the federal level, states and other jurisdictions are picking that up. And because they see the value, it's just, there's no going back, And so that's the best way right now until there's a change at the federal level.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things, though, if I might add to just to reiterate, in the United States, that's one thing. In the Caribbean, I think the government really, and many of them have been proactive and have taken a position where in order to get contracts to build solar systems, you must have the NABCEP certification. We've done this in Jamaica, in St. Kitts, in all of the OECS countries, in Barbados, in Puerto Rico. I know they have a lot of training down there and so forth, the Virgin Islands. So we're trying to really spread this standard across all islands. So whether you get trained in St. Kitts or you got trained in Jamaica, you meet the same standard, and that's very important. And the government themselves, the energy offices, the Department of Energies, a lot of them have been including this as part of their policy mechanism to make sure, to ensure safety and credibility and so forth in the solar industry. And I think that's very important for us to continue to spread the gospel
Yes.
of NABCEP in that nation.
I've been listening to you, gentlemen, and it's very clear why certification is important, specifically NABCEP certification. What do you think is some of the biggest gaps?
A lot of it is individuals who they have the mentality of like the do-it-myself type thing, and so they think they can read a couple books or then they start doing systems
Or
without
YouTube.
really being properly trained. Because in this, we work a lot with the IBW, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, and those men and women are trained very well in electrical work. But then they want to, they think they can do solar as well. And there's differences and there's things they need to learn. So for me, I think it's a lot of the professions that are kind of related to solar, making sure there's enough cross-training. So as I said, the IBW, the carpenters unions, because a lot of carpenters want to get into solar, roofing industry. There's a lot of roofing companies now that have started solar divisions because they want to, they put a new roof on someone's home. They're like, oh, we can put a solar system at the same time. So making sure all of those other professions are trained properly in solar so they don't do it improperly.
Right.
Yes,
Some of the biggest.
yes. I mean, we face the same problem in the Caribbean. Sometimes we don't even have people who go into the same electrical school. They just look on YouTube and think that they know how to fix the system. We've had many cases before, up until maybe 2 weeks ago, where we had people installing systems for homeowners. They charge them a lot of money, and then we end up going back and fixing it.
Yeah.
And that has been a theme happening. It has happened in Jamaica, in St. Kitts. It has been happening a lot. And as you said, we really try to continue to spread the gospel so that people know that they have to get certified. They have to meet that standard. Because what it does, it really, like I said, lends credibility and a sense of security and safety for the homeowners or the business owners to be able to have a NABCEP certification. So,
And it's not just unique to the Caribbean or the United States. It's one of the major reasons why we're going to be doing more work in Mexico and Latin America, because in Mexico 10, 15 years ago, there was just people driving around neighborhoods and saying, I can put a system on, and they leave. And as what Dr. Archibald said, they never come back, the system never works. And so there's going to be a lot of maintenance work done on systems in Mexico, because there was a long period of time where people were just, it's like, it's like someone running around the neighborhood with a lawnmower and say, I can cut your grass. And now they're running around with, no, I can put a solar system on your house.
right.
And it's not the same thing.
Right. Clearly not.
You touched on earlier about both men and women being in the industry. That's something I'm very passionate about. So, particular in our organization, we've been working with a lot of women. How important it is to have diversity in this industry?
It's very important. So we have several programs that we do. We have a special program for women to get into the industry, veterans, military veterans to get in. We had a breakfast here at the conference every year, a DEI breakfast. Our certifications depends on which certification, but overall, we're about 7% female for NABCEP for certifications. For our technical sales certification, it's a little higher, it's about 10%. But I think it's very important because there's a lot of young ladies coming out of high school who, like the boys, don't want to go to college and they want to do a trade. And so what we try to do is to educate those students while they're still in high school that the solar industry, it's not just a job, it can be a career, and you can make enough money to have a family and things like that. So it's very surprising when students first learn, they're all about, green and sustainability. It's just your generation. That's what you are. But when they realize it's actually a career that they can do good and do well, it's amazing to see the looks on their faces when they realize that.
Just to touch on that, one of the programs that we are very proud of that we have implemented in Guyana over the past year is the Gaisal Women in Energy program. And in this program, I mean, there's plenty of information that we have about it on our website and also on our YouTube channel. It involves technical training, NABCEP aligned technical training, theoretical and hands-on training. It involves coaching and mentoring about personal development, workforce development, and then it also involves an apprenticeship. So these women, after they've been through the training and the coaching, they got paid to actually work in building the solar farms in Guyana. And I think that model is ideal. We've spent a lot of time talking about it, but we want to really spread it all throughout the regions, the Caribbean specifically, so that this can be a way not just provide training and coaching, but also create a pathway for them to have jobs and meaningful jobs in the industry. So once the apprenticeship period is over, some of them got jobs at the solar plants working on operation and maintenance, which I'm sure Shawn will mention as one of the track under the NABCEP program. And some of them working with the local utility and other entities and so forth. So it's been a very productive program, and we are actually now getting ready to do a second one at the program. It starts next week in Guyana, actually, for these women. So we really believe in diversity in the solar industry for women, for youths, for people who are disadvantaged, who live in those remote areas of the Caribbean where they don't have access to electricity. And I think that having these programs really beneficial and so forth. And hopefully next year we'll have more of those same people attending NABCEP conference, because this is why we're having this conversation. We want to be able to spread the word in the Caribbean to get more people coming and attending these conferences and getting the training and the exposure that they need to impact processing to it.
Networking, there's more. I know there's more this year from the Caribbean.
Yes.
There's folks from Bermuda, Jamaica, Bahamas, St. Kitts, St. Thomas, wherever you are, you're always somewhere different.
All over, yeah.
But yeah, there's more. I would say there's probably at least 15, 16 folks from the region who have come to the conference to share, which before used to be, well, there's actually more than that. I didn't include Puerto Rico. There's several people from Puerto Rico here. But a few years ago, it was like you and Angel Zaras from Puerto Rico, in 2000. But now it's, probably, including Puerto Rico, probably over 20 folks.
Cheers to growth.
Yeah.
Piggybacking off that conversation, I want to ask, what roles do partnerships like with our organization play in scaling training and certification globally?
It's extremely important because, as I said a little earlier, we don't go in and just say, this is how you have to do it. So, work with Dr. Archibald when we did in the Caribbean and with the folks in Jordan, and we're doing that process now with several different individuals and organizations in Mexico. They come to us, we say, okay, we'll do it, but then I say, what's it going to look like? Even down to the name, do we want to call it NABCEP Mexico or NABCEP Latin America? And what are how do we go about building it? Because I don't want NABCEP to be seen as, they're just coming in and from the outside and building it. So those partnerships are extremely important because we have to have those boots on the ground, so to speak, and not have those come in, say we're building this, and when they call up to get certified, they're actually calling someone in New York. I want them reaching out to folks in their area.
Yeah, and that's very important, the social and cultural component of it, because we know our people, we know how to talk to people on the street who may not have had, even some of them who don't even have a high school education. We in our culture we speak a certain way that we can understand and relate to, And it varies from island to island also, you know. So the whole region as a whole is very important for us on the ground, so that entities actually that want to become a training provider under the NABCEP Caribbean program, entities or companies that want to be trained, that they have someone locally that they can call and reach, you know. And trust me, I get those messages like 24/7 on the clock. I have to silence my phone sometimes. You know, people calling, hey, what about the class? What about the website? And stuff like that. So it's really good that we, you know, and I really appreciate the partnership with Shawn as the leader of NABCEP, to have the vision, you know, to be able to extend the NABCEP brand in all these different regions around the world. So I think it's really beneficial for us in that way.
And speaking of vision, I'd like to ask you, Shawn, where do you see NABCEP in the next 5 to 10 years? What does the future look like for NABCEP?
For NABCEP, well, in the world of certification and licensure, I'll answer from that perspective. I think in the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see more licensure. So where a state requires someone to have a certification or to have a license. Right now, there are no states that have licensure in the United States for the solar industry, and I think it's going to happen, and it should happen as an industry matures. It's a logical thing where the state comes in and says, we need to protect the public, and that's the one and only job of a state licensure board, is to protect the public. And so, for me, and there are some who believe, oh, if you have licensure, then certification, isn't relevant anymore. But it is. Prior to NABCEP, I worked in mental counseling certification for that. When I first went there, 30 years ago now, not every state had licensure. They all do now. And the certification program is just as important as it was previously, and more important, because the licensure level is here, certification level is here. It's a higher standard. So people get licensed because they have to. And now, so a homeowner, so the messaging has to change a little bit. Say, yes, you want someone who's licensed, but you also want someone who's certified, because they're going to be at the higher level. So for me, I think the licensure piece is going to be very big in the next 5 to 10 years.
And what about globally?
I think globally, I think the United States is behind a lot of other countries as far as the solar energy industry. There's a lot more support from the public. There's a lot of countries like Germany where the public is so much better, well versed on solar and the benefits of solar and things of that nature. So it'd be nice if the U.S. can catch up to some of these countries and how well accepted, particularly residential solar. If you go to like Germany, there's residential solar everywhere because they see the value of it. And not so much energy storage. I think that's going to be a big piece in the next few years. Energy storage is going to be very big. And then maintenance. I mean, as these systems that were installed 10, 15 years ago in the U.S., inverters and things of that nature, they need a lot of work. And so I think that for NABCEP, in the next 10 to 15 years, it's going to be that operation and maintenance side. And so we created a new credential for that. It'll be released next week for entry-level operation and maintenance. And we already have a board certification for it. So I think that's going to be a very energy storage and operation and maintenance for us over the next 5, 10, 15 years is going to be very big.
Yeah.
What about GSI Incorporated?
Yeah, GSI, we actually offer most of the courses, I should say all of the courses that NABCEP have, all the credentials. We have the NABCEP Associate Credential, the PV Inspector Certification, the Advanced PV Professional Certification. We're going to get on board with the O&M certification, commissioning and maintenance, technical sales, all of these different levels that we offer. And we also have partnerships with other entities in the United States. So we're actually in the process of developing an app. You heard it here first, where you can have access not just to our training portal, but to some of our partners' training portals. So you can get almost any training that you want
Congratulations.
that we have in the solar industry. So we continue to expand, we continue to grow. We don't like to just be stagnant and stay one place. We always have to have something in the news at least every quarter, in order to keep moving ahead. So we appreciate the partnership and really the help and support from Shawn and from Ursula also and the team in helping us to continue to grow our organization and make it more productive.
Shawn, what are some key lessons NABCEP would have learned from the emerging markets
Some key lessons.
over the years?
Over the years.
Yeah.
Well, I've only been there 10 years. I think the key lesson is listening to those who are interested in being certified. So NABCEP 25 years ago started residential solar pretty much only, but then listening to and following the industry a little bit, and then at the same time trying to stay ahead of it. So being able to know that what's going to be coming, what is of interest to the folks, but how to get ahead of it so the certifications are ready when it really is becoming mainstream. So I mentioned the energy storage certification that we have. We actually started that process in 2019 before energy storage, battery storage was really being done a whole lot. It is doing now, but we were able to launch that certification 2 years before it became, so it was ready when the trainings were in place and things of that nature. So I think the lesson is being able to listen, but then being ahead of the curve as well.
Finding that balance.
Mm-hmm.
How can organizations or, interested individuals get more involved in NABCEP?
That's a good question. We have a lot of them, and just like every year when we do the conference, I probably get 50 to 100 more people who want to volunteer and do something for NABCEP. So we have a lot of subject matter experts who will volunteer to help us, create the certifications, write the questions for the exam. Maintaining certification is a lot of work. There's a lot of time involved. You can't just write a test and then leave it out there for 10 years. So we're constantly writing new questions, developing new forms of an examination. So the best way for them to get involved, well, first of all, get certified. Mm-hmm. That's a really good way. Yeah. But then, willing to volunteer some of their time and their knowledge, because I'm a certification expert. I am not a solar expert. So I don't write questions for the exams. No one on staff does. We rely on subject matter experts who volunteer their time and effort to help us bring the best certifications possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that's very important. I don't think that we touched on much, that the job task analysis and the program for each of these certifications is developed by industry experts. People who actually been working in the industry, knowledgeable of the industry. So it's not just questions you just pull off Google or something, but questions that were specifically designed by each of these subject matter experts.
And I want to ask the both of you, what advice would you give to young professionals or technicians entering this workspace?
I would say for a young person or someone who's new, either transitioning from another career into solar, is don't be afraid to ask questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question.
Yes.
And you're better off asking that question than trying to do something and, you can kill yourself in this. I mean, you can really hurt yourself. So I think it's not being afraid to ask questions, either of a supervisor or someone you might meet at our conference or any other conference. The folks in this industry are very willing and very friendly, but very willing to answer questions and mentor people. So I think it's really good to find that person who can be a mentor and be able to feel that freedom and that safe place to ask them those questions.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that. I've actually seen that.
Yes. What I would say to those people is that they should check out our website at greensolutionsstn.com and sign up for our NABCEP Associate course. It used to be called the NABCEP Entry Level course. And it's had evolved and improved over the years. So it's now the NABCEP Associate Credential. And get certified. We have some of the best instructors, the most knowledgeable and experienced instructors that can help guide you through your career and help you to find the path that's most comfortable for you. And also, you know, to find opportunities where you can, even if you're installing a system on your own home, right? Call some of your friends, and by doing it is how you will actually learn. You know, we have the theoretical components on our online platform and so forth, but I think that actually doing it and putting your hands on, you know, the modules and the wiring and all that kind of stuff will really reinforce your learning. And like Shawn said, I mean, once you have good mentorship and leadership along the way, then I think you'll find a successful career in the energy industry.
And as we prepare to wrap up on this interview, I want to ask you both, what do you think about the future? What excites you most about the future of this clean energy workforce?
Well, okay, I'll go first, and then Shawn
I'm happy. I've been going first, so
Shawn
I
conclude.
will let you go first.
Well, if we look around us now and let me see what's happening globally. Actually, this morning I was watching the TV at the hotel, and they said a barrel of oil now is $110, right, per barrel. So it keeps going up. And what it means is that people are going to start feeling it at the pump. They're going to see their electricity bill, their utility bills increase. And we're the ones who are going to be paying the price for that. So what's the solution to that? We should do more solar, expanding our renewable energy, training, workforce development, certification, I think is the foundation for the energy transition. And once we do that, then we can own our own energy independence. As individuals for your residential homes and as countries, small island developing states in the Caribbean, we can actually take control of our independence so that we are not affected by the fluctuation of oil and gas and so forth. And it's also cleaner energy for the environment and give you a healthier lifestyle and so forth.
Yeah. I think for me, what kind of excites me, particularly on the workforce side, is seeing, I have the pleasure of getting to meet and speak with those who are considered the solars of the pioneers of solar. They're the ones who lived in Northern California and, you know, just off grid back in the 60s and 70s and stuff. And it's exciting as far as to be able to see sort of the cycle of those who now have 20 years experience kind of filling that, and then seeing the young folk come in. And so to be able to see that cycle, I get excited by it because it means the industry is alive and well. You know, if you didn't see young folk get into it and sort of that cycle of progression of careers, then you know there's something wrong. But if it still excites younger folks to get into the industry, I think that's a very healthy sign for our industry.
Is there any final thoughts?
Just thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for yours.
Thank you. You have been a very gracious host. Thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you. For more stimulating conversations, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Until next time, thank you for watching.